Hi, welcome to another edition of Legal Quilts. This week we're continuing with the Irish chain. Last time we did the the first block. This week we're going to do the second block because the Irish chain is basically made up of just two blocks, slightly different, although strip piecing is used in both. I'm only going to make one block today, but this is really good for chain piecing. Now last time, because this was a work in progress, you saw I already had the strip sets made. We're going to start with the strips today. So for the second block, depending on the size of the quilt you need to cut for strips. For each strip set, you need two of your number one dark. Now, I know I'm throwing these numbers at you all of a sudden. It's because when you're making this quilt, you have, I used, I think, three different colors. Used three different colors, a 1, a 2, and a background, okay? And that's how we made this block. Strip sets from, I'm trying not to make a mess over here. This, it really is, even though it's a 5 rows, it really is only 3 colors. This dark is the 1, 2 is the medium, and then 3 is the light. You know I like that medium, dark, medium, and light. Oh look, it's butterflies again. So that's what this is. So my number 1 is the dark. So you're going to take 2.5 inch strips of the dark, and you need a 6.5 inch strip. Double checking my numbers here because anything beyond a 2 inch or a 2.5 inch strip, I have to double check. A 6.5 inch strip, okay? So you've got a 6.5 inch strip, and what you're going to do, and again, you're going to have more strip sets. I'm just doing this here. We're going to do just one strip set because otherwise we'll be here all day. And like I said, I'm only going to make one block today, but this will tell you what to do to make yours. For a lap quilt size, you need 6 of the number 1 and 3 of the background, all right? And then you just sew your piece here. So take one strip, lay it right sides together on one side of your 6.5 inch, and I always work so the 6.5 inch is on the bottom. You always want your heavier one on the bottom so it's not pulling, the weight of it isn't pulling against your light, smaller piece, which of course weighs less because it's smaller. You always want the heavier stuff on the bottom. Just keep going here. I got this set a little slow from what I was doing. Okay. I like having adjustable speed, although the most it can do is whatever it's set for, no matter how hard you press on the pedal. Because I have a lead foot on my pedal, whether it's a car or my sewing machine. So this kind of keeps me from having it go nuts by having my speed regulated. At least on my sewing machine, there's not so much in the car. I need one of these things in the car where I can set it that it won't go over the speed limit no matter how hard I press the pedal. I wonder if they do make those for cars. But anyway. So you just sew this into a strip set. Keep going. And it doesn't matter if your piece is a little longer or whatever. You're gonna straighten the edges anyway, the ends, so that they're all the same length. So you just keep going. Like I said, this is a lap quilt, so I would normally be making 3 of these, but I only want to do one set today. One strip set, just so that you can see. And I wanted to do the strip set because last time I already had those done, so I really kind of wanted to show you this. Although there's all kinds of videos about showing strip sets. And we're going to really have one about showing strip sets if I ever do Bargello for y'all. Hit that button. I'm still not used to hitting that. Okay, that's got to be out. There we go. Still not used to having the automatic. See, I was grabbing the clippers. I'm just so used to doing that. Then, because again, you want to keep your, so you open that out. And again, because you want to keep your large piece on the bottom, which is now even larger because it's got the other strip set. Take the other strip set and you start at this end where you just finished, and you do the same thing. You just sew it there using your 1/4 inch seam allowance, which I'm very lucky it's set for me on this machine. And the other thing this does, by alternating, instead of always going down in the same direction, and I know it seems, you go up and down, it keeps it from that lovely bowing where your pieces start getting wavy. So you, I'm not sure why, but it's excellent advice that I heard years and years ago, and I've always followed it, and I found it works. Plus, again, you start at the end, and then you don't have to flip over your fabric and everything. You're just at the end you're starting from. Again, it doesn't matter that this is a little longer, because you're going to just slice it off at one end or the other. And you just keep sewing this. And you do this for 3 sets. Again, you can chain piece your sets, you know, do all down one side and then down the other one. So you have 6 of the 2.5 inch and 3 of the 6.5 inch if you're making a lap quilt using the double Irish chain. Okay. Again, you can chain piece these sets or do them each individual, whichever feels most comfortable for you. Okay. This is the longest part today, because after this I'm just going to be making the block and it'll go much easier. But this will get me set up for finishing, which is causing me, that's why I'm doing these in the video, is because I have to get each step done completely before I do the video on the next step. So it's getting this one done. And that's kind of what we're trying for here this winter, is works in progress. Get some of those things done that you've been working on for years. Even if you just make progress, that's good. But let's see what we can finish this year. Oh, we're all stuck inside because it's cold and yucky out. And if you're not someplace that's cold and yucky, I envy you. There we go. And then you just finish it. And again, before I lift my presser foot, there we go. We just hit the little, there we go. It's all done. Now, the next step is from this strip set, and you can open your strip set out if you want. You don't have to completely. I actually don't like to, because it makes it a little shorter on cutting. You can do it though. I do want to do it for this step. You open it all out, and then and you'll have plenty. Don't worry about, oh no, what if I won't have enough to make my subcuts? You will, trust me. From a 42 inch, we only need 3. We only need, 34? You will have plenty. You'll get most of it from 2, so you've got that third one. So even if you have to later on or re-straighten and recut, you're still okay. You've got plenty. So first you lay it on a line and get a nice straight edge, and then from this piece that looks like this, the larger middle piece with the smaller sides, you're going to subcut for a lap quilt 34 2.5 inch strips. Now I only need 2 of these for today. So I'm just going to cut 2. So again, you don't have to sit here and watch me cut 34 pieces. So you just line it up with your handy dandy ruler on the 2.5 inch line and cut. If you're really good, remember you've got 3 of these, you can lay 2 of them or even 3 if you're really, really good, and then just cut that way. I do them one at a time because I'm not that good. But you need 2 for every block you'll make. You know, of this, for the lap quilt size, you need 17 of block 2. For block 1, we only needed, or I'm sorry, not we only, we needed 18. So obviously this has got an uneven number. When I do my single iris chain, it's an even number. It's the same number of block 1 and block 2. And you can do this with the same number of block 1 and block 2. So now you have, when you subcut, you've got a pile that looks like this, okay? 2.5 inch strips with the that look like this. You got the light blue, you got the darker, and your background color, okay? And what you do with those, make sure everything's all set. You have, this can be called, you can use your background for this block. You really can, okay? But it looks a little different. And when I do my single iris chain, I like to fussy cut what's basically the center of this block using some children's patterns and stuff. So when I do my single iris chains, those are for my great nieces and nephew. And so they're little, you know, they're the baby quilts. So I try to use children's stuff. When I was originally conceiving this quilt years and years ago, I wanted it to be all sandscape. This is Northcote Sandscape with the nice little gold through it. But when I was getting everything ready last night to do this, thank goodness I looked ahead because I realized, oh no, I need this. I was like, you know, I don't really like the look of that. I do want a focal fabric for this center, for the center of the second block. And I was going through all the fabric stash going, well, I want it to still be blue. So I said, originally this was going to all be sandscape. And I was really thinking of doing it in a different color of sandscape I had. I think I've got purple and or red. And I was like, yeah, I really want to keep it all blue. So I was looking through the blue stash. And I found this fabric. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's a peacock feather. And I literally bought this 2 weeks ago. No plan. I saw it in the store and I said, it's got peacocks on it. Just sell it to me. I actually said that to the nice lady in the quilt shop when I was like, they were cutting everything else and I spotted this and I went, oh, I need this. And they're like, really? And I said, it's got peacocks on it. It's a given. I want it. And I realized this was absolutely perfect last night because it's got, as you can see, it's got the light and it's got some medium and it's got some dark. So it'll blend in nice and it's got the gold on the peacock feathers. I'm like, this is the perfect one. So even though I planned this quilt years ago, 2 weeks ago I got the perfect fabric. This just happens sometimes in quilting. Now this is a pretty simple quilt, block 2 to make. You also, from the background fabric, need to cut you have to cut 2.5 inch strips by 6.5, okay? So instead of the 6.5 that looks like lengthwise with 2 on either side of it, you want 2.5 inch strips that are 2.5 inch wide by 6.5 inch long, okay? And you just sew those on the top and the bottom, right sides together. You sew it on your top and bottom of your focal block. It doesn't matter, pick a top and bottom, but that will then become, I mean, it's a 6.5 inch block. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Yes, you need 17 for the lap quilt of the 6.5 inch block. So I just didn't feel like fussy cutting 17 blocks. So I went with this, and I think it's great and perfect. So you need, that's a 6.5 inch square. So you're just on the top, you lay down and And again, using your 1/4 inch seam, you lay a 2.5 by 6.5 inch long, 2.5 inch wide by 6.5 inch long background, and you sew it at the top. Oops. That one didn't really want to cut. Okay. There we go. I keep the scissors handy because sometimes, like I said, I don't really use that right all the time. Okay. And that's the top. And now we're going to sew the bottom. All right. And you just lay it like that. So you wind up with a piece like this. So now this is 10.5 inches, and that's okay. So you take then the pieces you just cut with these long ones and laying the dark, your fabric number 1, I'm just going to call it the dark, but it's your fabric number 1 at the top here, right sides together, and you lay it on the side. So you're enclosing your 6.5 inch square. You're going to have 2 plain pieces on the top and bottom, and then 2 pieces of your strip side, 1 on each on the top or bottom. You're going to take 2, so 1 on each. Top and bottom are going to be a plain strip, and then the 2 sides are going to be from your strip set. And you just sew it down there, and if you want, you can. And you can iron your pieces. I just kind of interlock them together up and down. Makes life easier. And like I said, the pioneer women were not stopping to iron their seams. They were too busy trying to cross the country in really, really tiny wagons. If you've ever seen a Conestoga wagon, they're basically, imagine trying to cross the country in a Volkswagen Bug with all your worldly goods. You weren't stopping to set up an ironing board every 5 minutes to iron your blocks. So you do that, and then you do it on the other side. Same thing, right sides together. I get very close to my sewing because my eyes are bad, and so I get really down in here, but it's not good for my back. You should always sit up and have good posture. You don't want to hurt your back while you're doing this. And it's done. There is block number 2. It looks like this, so kind of you got the darks on the corners, and then you've got the background around your focal fabric. Again, you can fussy cut something. The pattern I have has a roses. I've used kid stuff. Or you can use this background, and so then what you would have here is just, it would look more like, it would have this here too. So you've got more of a solid of the light of the background, which if you really like your background fabric or you got a really cool pattern, that would look nice. But I decided I want to do this with a focal. So that's block 2. So I'm going to need to make 17 of those, and the next time, now that we've got the blocks together, the next time we do this, which will be in January, I'll show you, we'll be sewing the rows together. So we're already putting the top together. So that's it for this time. The QR code is going to be at the end as usual. All my social media is on there. Please follow me. Please like. Please comment. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There'll be links in the comments for my cutters that I used today to subcut. And I just want to wish all of you the next one, there will be another one in December, another edition in September, and that's going to be another one in the series on preserving memories, because I got a really special thing to show you that is really a fun way to preserve your memories of your travels. If you travel a lot, or just whatever you did over the year, it's a great way to preserve them. And so I'll be talking about that next time. But for now, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I wish everybody a very happy and safe holiday season.